Welcome to tonight's Finance Committee meeting for February the 13th, the year 2023. Before we get into tonight's agenda business, we have a couple of items that will come before us. First of all, I would like to call Judge Roy Tucker. He's going to come at this time, and he's going to swear in our new city attorney, Ms. Katrina Bodenhammer.
Yay, Katrina.
Which side do you want? Do you have a preference?
This one.
Okay. All right. Raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma, all laws of the State of Oklahoma, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Muskogee, Oklahoma, and I will not knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or other valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act or duty pertaining to my office, other than the compensation allowed by law. I further swear that I will faithfully discharge my duties as city attorney
As city attorney
of the City of Muskogee
of the City of Muskogee
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations. Let me say, Mr. Deputy Mayor and Council, thank you for hosting me tonight. It's always good to be back in the council chambers and to see you all.
All right, then. So we have a couple of more items before we get into tonight's agenda item. We have a couple of proclamations from the Mayor for Black History Month. Also, we have a retirement proclamation to present tonight, as well as special acknowledgments of some young people. And I'll yield the floor at this time to Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Let me say good evening to all of us on tonight. As many of us are aware, February is Black History Month, and each year we have a proclamation to celebrate that. I will say that after you read so many proclamations, they all start to sound the same. And so I won't read the proclamation, but what I will say, that I am the city's first African-American mayor. And that meant so much to me to be elected in 2020 to the city of Muskogee, because I was elected during the time of George Floyd, when if there was any a time where people would have been distrusting to people of color, it should have been then. But the people of Muskogee did not see color, and I am so grateful to that as we celebrate Black History Month. They saw the possibility of hope. And so it is my pleasure and my honor to recognize what I think is the crown jewel of Northeast Oklahoma, the city of Muskogee, in declaring February officially from the city as Black History Month. Let me also take this opportunity, since we're talking about Black History Month, to recognize the Kappa fraternity. They have a mentoring program. They are here with us tonight. They mentor young people. We're so happy to have them here in council chambers. And while we're not allowed to let people have words because they're being acknowledged, I will invite them up to the front to take a photo with the city council, because one thing that I did learn from Sharon Ray, if you don't take a picture, it didn't happen. And so we want to take a photo of these young people and their mentors who are here tonight. And I'm going to ask that you join me up front and that the council members will come down so that we can properly recognize you and thank you for being in council chambers on tonight.
I really can't see you, Derek. You never did that before. There you go. Thank you.
I think he's gonna leave now. Wait a minute.
Let me say to all of those who ardently watch our presentation on tonight, I need to make one more presentation. Then I need to leave to go and introduce a special guest that we have in Muskogee tonight. Then I'm going to come back to the meeting. But we have a very capable deputy mayor who's going to preside over all of that. We have a retirement that we want to acknowledge, Mr. Ronald Bladen. So many people in the city of Muskogee have been kind to me. When I see them retiring, it breaks my heart. But I am so happy that you have the opportunity to go and do better things for yourself and with your family. He has a Bachelor of Science from Northeastern State University, employed by the city January 1992 as the city's environmental technician. He implemented and managed fats, oils, and grease program, implemented and managed biosolids program, implemented and managed liquid waste hauler program, managed the city stormwater program in 2017 to present. He's been the watershed plant superintendent. He's a registered environmental manager through the National Registry of Environmental Professionals, State of Oklahoma Class B sewer operators license, State of Oklahoma Class C sewer lab license, State of Oklahoma Class C water operators license. The more I read these licenses, I wish we could find a way for you to stay. Co-founder of Oklahoma Pretreatment Association, lecturer on a variety of wastewater topics at local and EPA Region 6 seminars. And the city of Muskogee and your council wish to express you its sincere appreciation to you, Mr. Bladen, for your dedication to the outstanding performance of your duties during your tenure. Help me celebrate Mr. Ronald Bladen.
It's been my pleasure to work with Ron for quite a few of his 31 years. And what a lot of you don't know is he's the one that put our industrial pretreatment program together. And if you have ever read anything boring in your life, that's what that is. It's a long document, but it's what helps us manage our waste stream that goes to the sanitary sewer plant. And also, Ron hounded me back when I was in the street department to get a household hazardous waste program going. So he was actually the one that stayed on to it, helped me discover how to do it and put it together, so he's also responsible for that as well. Not to mention that he's just a good guy and loves to fish.
Okay, so now at this time, we'll get into tonight's agenda. Before we get into our agenda items, we will stand at this time and have our invocation led by Councilor Tracy McGee, followed by the flag salute.
Let us bow our hearts for a moment of prayer.
Heavenly Father Yahweh, thank you for your grace and your mercy. Father, give us an open heart and open mind to do the business of the city tonight. Lead and guide our conscience as we make conscious decisions about the business of the city. I ask all these blessings in your Son, Yahshua. Let us say amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Committee agenda item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of January 9, 2023, or take other necessary action.
After reviewing the minutes, are there any corrections or additions to our minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve our minutes for tonight. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Pearline Boyotty Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones. Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Item number 1 passes. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of change order number 1 for Hatbox Event Center site improvements, project number 2022030 with Roscon LLC in the amount of $36,425 for items related to the ongoing improvements at the site or take other necessary action.
Brooke? Or,
I'll take it.
okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Reeves.
This change order had 6 elements involved in it. 15 bollards were added to the project to basically protect elements around the exterior of the project, such as pedestrian crossings, HVAC units, AC units, electrical units. Also, we had to remove and replace concrete at the hangar doors, remove and replace ramp at the livestock barn. Basically, we had an undercut of 60 by 40 and 60 by 30, 3 foot deep to accommodate the new concrete slab. We had 2 sidewalk bridges for pedestrians, and we had a repair of the undermined slab. Staff does recommend approval, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Reeves?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Pearline Boyotty Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Item number 2 passes. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval of change order number 2 for the Hatbox Event Center site improvements, project number 2022030, excuse me, with Roscon LLC in the amount of $12,032 for repair of soft spots under the sidewalk on the west side of the hangar or take other necessary action.
Mr. Reeves?
This change order is related to sidewalk and stormwater element that is beside the sidewalk for the livestock barn. The sidewalk is 275 feet long, and the subgrade was characterized as inadequate, and so it was recommended that the soil underneath the sidewalk be removed and replaced, and we used millings from the city projects to replace that element with. So staff does recommend approval, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Pearline Boyotty Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Item number 3 passes. Item number 4, please.
Consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract between the City of Muskogee and the C.T. Brannan Corporation for a renovation and expansion project of the River Country Family Water Park to accommodate improvements to the existing facility and future growth, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Hall?
Yes, this project we're very excited about. This will be improvements to existing facilities. We'll be evaluating the needs of our pools at the water park. And then we'd also like to include expansion project and possibly new features to the water park. The project, if we stay on track, once approved, would, upon closing of this season, Labor Day weekend is our last weekend, we would be ready to start construction and have the improvements completed by summer 2024. We just request approval, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hall?
Move for approval.
Deputy Mayor, have the drawings been done?
We'll be working with the design team for that, identifying the needs
Thank you.
and additions.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Carlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Item number 4 passes, and that is our final item for our Finance Committee.
Public Works Committee meeting, February 13th of 2023. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of January 9th, 2023, or take other necessary action.
Well, had time to review the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move for approval.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 2, please.
Hold a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 4187A to rezone the property addressed as 6000 West Broadway, being more particularly described in the ordinance from R1 Single Family Residential to PUD Planned Unit Development, and if approved, authorize staff to revise the official zoning map of the city to reflect said change or take other necessary action.
I open tonight's public hearing. Ms. Jennifer.
Good evening, Chair and committee members. The applicant is Cincy Properties. They are requesting the property located at 6000 West Broadway be rezoned from R1, single family residential, to PUD, which is a planned unit development, with underlying R5 zoning to allow for a modular home community. The current use of the property is a non-conforming mobile home park. We will have some slides, hopefully in a moment, with the site plan and layout of the new development. The applicant is proposing a single development for removing the current mobile homes and then redeveloping in phases. The intent is to transition so they won't be affecting all the residents all at once. They will do it in phases. They will have a property owners association for maintenance of common areas. And the intent of a PUD is to accommodate all kinds of residential and commercial development in certain areas while still ensuring that we comply with surrounding land uses. So the current mobile homes are on the far west edge of city limits. So you'll see the yellow box on the screen. The dotted line on the west and south edge of that is county. We have one residential property on the southeast, and then to the east we have some agriculture land and commercial. This is 6.8 acres. They will have to conform with a preliminary and final plat as they move forward in the process. And if anything changes in the design, they would have to go through any other rezoning steps. This is the proposed layout, and the engineer is here to answer any technical questions if you all have questions from Olson Engineering. They will have a maximum of 55 single-family dwellings. So again, this is an improvement from mobile homes to modular, which is great because we really need housing in Muskogee. The changes that the PUD will allow is to the setbacks being smaller and the lot sizes being smaller than typical. They will use existing contours for drainage. They will comply with all our public water and sewer infrastructure rules, as well as street requirements for the city. Here's the zoning surrounding. The star is the site. We've got the C1, that's Timothy Baptist Church on the east side. The A is a small agriculture parcel. We notified all the surrounding properties as required by law. We held a public hearing this morning at the Planning Commission. Planning Commission did vote to approve the ordinance to rezone. The Subdivision Review Committee also recommended approval, and staff recommends approval. And I'd be happy to answer questions, or the engineer is happy to.
Thank you, Ms. Jennifer. We have no citizens here to speak upon this item, so I close the public hearing. Do we have any discussion?
Is that the mobile park that we have out west of town now? Yes,
That's
okay.
behind Stanley Perkins' house, I believe, Stanley's house.
Right off
They're
of
across from the old
Mobile.
West Side.
Do we have a motion or do we?
Move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
The item passes. Item number 3, please.
Hold a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 4188A on the application of American Bank Incorporated to rezone the property addressed as 219 South 32nd Street, being more particularly described in the ordinance from C1 Local Commercial to C2 General Commercial, and if approved, authorize staff to revise the official zoning map of the city to reflect said change or take other necessary action.
I open tonight's public hearing. Ms. Jennifer again.
Thank you. As the clerk stated, the applicant, American Bank, is requesting to rezone one of his parcels that adjoin each other. This is on 32nd Street. It's surrounded by other commercial. And I'd like to point out that the intended use is going to be a plasma center, which is a medical office building use, and it is allowed in C1 and C2, but staff and the applicant agreed it would be simpler to have both the parking lot parcel and the building parcel be the same zoning. So that's the purpose of doing the rezone, and they will be demolishing the current building. I've got a picture, but the yellow area is the site for rezoning. The current building is vacant. The future use does comply with our future land use map. The applicant is considering a lot consolidation if the rezoning is approved. This is a somewhat dark picture of the vacant building. It was a restaurant during its last use. This is the proposed site plan. So the dark black square is the proposed building footprint. We've already begun talking about parking and landscaping so that they will be ready to move forward with building permits. Again, we did notify all the surrounding property owners. The Planning Commission met this morning, held a public hearing. There were no questions from the audience. They did vote to approve the ordinance. Staff also recommends approval, and Subdivision Committee also recommended approval.
Thank you. No citizens are here to speak upon this, so I close tonight's public hearing. Do we have any discussion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Abstain.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
No.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
The item passes. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4179A, an ordinance amending the City of Muskogee Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 90, Zoning, Article 23, Specific Use Permits, Section 90-32-01, Purposes, Section 90-23-02, conditions for approval, and Section 93-23-05, administration, adding repealer severability codification and setting an effective date, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Bodenhammer.
Thank you. This is my item. This is a revision of ordinance number 4179A. It's our specific use permit. It covers various types of facilities like crematories, prisons, mining, windmills, halfway houses, kennels, gun clubs, and marijuana facilities. Our focus on this one was partially for marijuana facilities to comply with the revisions to state law. The former method that we had for approval of these permits was a little confusing. This is a step-by-step guide that sets out that makes it a little bit easier. The revisions also will allow for the Planning Commission and the City Council to set costs that are different than what we originally had in here. And the reason for that is we're finding out that publication notices, mail-outs to neighbors, meetings with our marijuana compliance officer and other city officials will take a lot more time than originally anticipated when this ordinance was written. Also, the law has changed regarding the distance from schools to marijuana facilities. This is the fourth change in distance since the marijuana laws were enacted by the state. So the provision in here is that we will simply comply with state law versus 1,000 feet from door to property line, 1,000 feet from door to door as far as schools go. It just keeps changing. This way we just remain in compliance without further changes. It also requires meetings with the marijuana compliance officer or the planning director prior to buying property, working on property for marijuana facilities. We've had issues in the past where people have come in and put a lot of money into businesses and not received a specific use permit. Right. This way they can meet with the planning director and the marijuana compliance officer first, make sure that that location is acceptable, that there won't be problems, and that type of facility is zoned correctly. Also, we have provided in here for specific extraneous types of studies, traffic, odor control, other things that will help our city keep the door open to these types of businesses without placing an undue burden of public nuisance on our citizens. One of the things that we always look at in these types of things is what's considered home rule, where the city is allowed to make laws that are different than state law. So if state law has an overriding public interest, then we have to comply with state laws, and that's this current situation. So we recommend approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Bodenhammer. Do we have any discussion? Or move for approval?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 4 passes. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval of final plat to Roscon LLC in the amount of $17,450 for Hatbox Paving Project number 2022023, or take other necessary action.
Okay, Ms.
Deputy Mayor? Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, ma'am. This was the final payment for this project. The project was reviewed by the engineer, Parks and Rec, and projects, and we do recommend approval for this project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm sorry, this was a concrete project that surrounded the concession stand at the Little League ball fields. Turned out very nice, it provided egress and ingress for the project, and concrete all the way around the concession stand so nobody's getting muddy. So, staff does recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Do we have a discussion or a move for approval?
You got any pictures of that completion?
I do not have any pictures at this time.
Okay, thank you.
I move for approval.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 5 passes. Item number 6, please.
Discuss and take action to declare the former City Senior Center property located at 119 Spalding and adjacent lots, as described further herein, as surplus to the needs of the city, authorizing and appointing a committee to finalize, review, score, and recommend transfer of said property through a request for proposal process or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
Yes. So what you have before you is a look at a property at 119 Spalding. As you know, in 2021, the city opened a new senior center at 2001 West Muskogee. Then the city closed the old facility there on Spalding. And they charged the economic development director at the time to find an entity to assume ownership through sale or an economic development agreement. In the 2 years that have passed, it has come to the attention that a change of course could be in the best interest of the city, in which case the city council can fulfill its role and declare the property surplus, and then initiate an RFP process to determine the best future use of the building and the best outside entity to carry out that function. By starting an RFP process, a committee would then develop scoring criteria for the proposals. And that scoring process could include, but not be limited to, factors such as the economic benefit to the city from the transfer, which would include sales price paid to the city, value of proposed future use of the citizens to the citizens of Muskogee, which would include identifying a public need that would be met by an organization, and an organization's history and references, case studies, including examples of the organization performing the proposed work, and of course the overall responsiveness to the request for proposal. The end result of the committee's work would be bringing a recommendation back to the city council to transfer title of the property to the entity outside the city government which submits the best proposal. The transfer could then occur by a sale or other considerations. We feel like it's an opportunity to get this building back into the public use or the private use, I should say, either way. But get it, have it no longer be a vacant building, get it back into private hands, and make something happen in the community. So there's really kind of a couple of questions that are involved here. One is for the council if they choose to surplus the property, and then two, if the council has a unique role in surplusing property and that only they can decide to do that. And so if the council wants to be part of that RFP process and set those criteria and make those recommendations, this would be the time to do that and nominate a committee of no more than 4 councilors. That would make it a subcommittee that could then make a recommendation to this body. If the council prefers to handle this like most other RFPs and designate staff to do that, we're happy to do the work as well. So we want to make those options, open up the entire agenda item, of course, to discussion, but I want to lay out those options of, do we want to declare it surplus? If so, how do we want to proceed with the RFP, either through staff or through council members making up that committee? And so I will be happy to listen and answer any questions as we proceed forward.
Okay, what is the will of the body?
I'd definitely like to see us as counselors get together and form a committee, and let's try to find a way to make the best use of that building, to serve our community. There's a lot of needs in our community, and I think that we as council can come together and come up with the scenarios of what that proposal would look like. And that's the step I would like to see us go, rather than just, getting rid of the property and, worrying about what hands that may fall in and what may, become of that neighborhood, because that is a neighborhood, adjacent to that area. And like I said, I think we can get with some of the nonprofits in the area, some of the churches in that area, and make good use of that building.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I agree with the deputy mayor. I know that it says here that the city manager typically designates staff members. So would we be serving in conjunction with those staff members?
So
or
the committee could be made up entirely of a subcommittee of council members. The staff would continue to do work on the project, but that's if it's a council subcommittee, I would say that the city staff will perform work in support of that committee, but not serve as committee members.
Okay. Well, yes, I would like to volunteer on that committee.
It would be
yes.
4.
Mm-hmm.
It would be appropriate if we have
volunteer to be on it too.
And so would I. Oh.
That's a very important building and a project for us as well in that area. We have a program with the Gospel Rescue Mission that is an evening program but not a day program. We really need to reach out to some of our local nonprofits to talk about someone who can run a day program. The mission is as I said, is an evening program, and then they put the people out on the street during the day, and they don't really have anywhere to go. So if we could talk to some of our nonprofits out there that I hope are watching tonight, we really need to talk to some of you guys about coming up with a day program that we could utilize to take care of the citizens when they're not available in the overnight program. Thank you.
So I lost a little bit of track. Maybe, Tammy, you probably didn't, of who's volunteered, if we have 3 or if we have 4, or if we have more than 4, that's up for y'all to discuss.
Are you the fourth?
I will help,
Alex?
yes.
Now I have 4.
Alec, or we had Derek,
Deputy Mayor.
Shirley, Tracy, and Pearline, and then Alec, so there's 5.
Have we been approached by any
Yes.
nonprofits?
Yes, we have.
We can't do 5.
So we do need to have 4 or fewer.
Yeah, we can't do 5. Can't do 5.
Someone want to be an alternate?
Go off if you need me to back off, I will.
I'll drop.
I guess I'm making a motion that Tracy, Shirley, Derek, and Pearline serve as the 4 committee members.
Okay. So I think a motion to capture all of what we're trying to do here would be to declare the property at 119 Spalding and the adjacent lots surplus, and to authorize and appoint an RFP committee to finalize review score and recommend transfer of said property to an entity outside of the city. And 3, appoint counselors. The counselors that I want to make sure I got the counselor list right. So who do you, the 4 that you nominated were?
Tracy, Shirley, Derek, and Pearline.
Okay. So that's, would you incorporate all of what I said into your motion? Does that make
Yes.
sense? Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Roll call.
Pearline Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 6 passes. Item number 7, please.
Consider approval to authorize the city manager to surplus 2 sanitation trucks and sell to the city of Holdenville in the amount of $10,000 per truck, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Avery.
So a former employee of the city of Muskogee is now working at the city of Holdenville, and they've reached out to us to purchase surplus trash trucks. They've come up and met with our leadership team at Public Works to view 2 trucks, and they would like to make an offer on them. They would like to offer $10,000 per truck. This cost takes into account the year, the mileage, and the hours on the truck, along with any repairs that would be needed to get these trucks back to road ready. After researching similar trucks on truckpaper.com and other websites, they are going for about $15,000 to $18,000. However, those trucks do not need repairs. The last truck that we traded in brought in only $1,500. And based off of our research, we believe that this is an adequate offer, and we recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Vigney. Do we have any discussion or move for approval?
I move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Pearline Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 7 passes. Item number 8, please.
Consider approval for Micro Seal Southwest Zone 2023 bid to Vance Brothers in the amount of $460,510.58, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Vigney?
Yes, so Jeff will present the official item, but I have a presentation that pertains to 8, 9, and 10 that I'd like to go over. And the council has seen this slide or portions of this slide several times. But we'll start from 2018. We talked about the sense of urgency and that our streets are in decline and what we are going to do about that. Just a reminder, here's our traditional street funding, which is, this slide is from 2018, but is still very close to accurate. And then we have our 5-year street pavement maintenance program. with updated dates. So you see that in the northwest zone, we have 2022 through 23, southwest zone as well, and then the southeast zone, 23 and 24. And here is the zone-wise street repair links. So these are the center lane miles of all the streets in the zones. This is not the amount of work we're going to do per zone. This is just to lay out that these zones are different sizes. So if you'll remember, we kept the additional 0.33 sales tax to fund this project. You all approved that, or maybe a previous council did. And the original funding for the streets is that traditional slide we looked at of $1.97 million, with this capital improvement project taking the 0.33 cent sales tax and a match from the foundation. There will be $24 million over the 4 zones to improve the streets. So here's how our streets are broke out: 178 miles of asphalt or chip seal, and then 52 miles of concrete. The average PCI, which is your rating index for pavement, was a 56. Our miles below 60 were 82, and our miles below 45 were 48. So the higher that number goes, the better the street is. We're typically average with the rest of the cities in Oklahoma, but we'd like to see that number come up. So you have 48 miles of under 45 PCI that will receive mill and overlay, or that we're projected to at the time of this sales tax passing. For micro seal, there was 29 miles between 45 and 60 on the PCI, and the concrete, there was only 6.5 miles under 60 on the PCI, for an average residential PCI of 56. After this project concludes, we aim to be at a 70. So the work will be completed by contractors, and then our street crews will continue with our normal maintenance, as well as helping to prepare some of these streets for the contract work that is to come. Some of our employees will assist in doing inspections, and contracts will be completed as funding allows. So our goal is to do 100 miles of residential street repairs. There has been inflation that has affected the price of asphalt, but we still aim for this goal. So one other thing to note, all the streets that are on this list were recommended, reviewed, and approved by the street committee prior to this going out to bid. Street committee has also approved and recommends the bids that will be presented on this slideshow, or after this slideshow rather. So first, let's talk about what is mill and overlay. A mill and overlay is whenever you take off the top layer of asphalt, milling it down, and replacing it with an overlay of new asphalt. This is done when a street is in below average condition and past the point of a micro seal prolonging its life. It is milled down to the subbase and built back from the ground up. Here's an example of a milled street. That rough looking portion on the left of the screen is what happens after it's milled, and the right is prior to the milling. They did this in Muskogee. ODOT did. If you saw that, that was the process that was going on there. And then this is an example of an overlay on top of a street. So when do we overlay a street without milling? An overlay is done when a street is past the point of a micro seal but has no curbs or houses below road level. We will patch up any imperfections in the street and then overlay an asphalt surface on top of it, providing a new driving surface. This is just the second half of the mill and overlay that we can do in a few portions around town to help be more financially responsible. So next, let's talk about a micro seal. That's a thin layer of aggregate and oil that is laid over the street in average to above average condition, and this is to elongate the life of the street. So what that does, it's a thin oil that seeps down into the cracks and seals that concrete together. And as Jeff puts it, it's a lot like painting your house. You're not getting a new house, but it's prolonging the life of your house by putting a protective layer on it. And here's a really good picture of that. It's very thin, but it does look like a new driving surface when you're done with it, and it really does prolong the life of the street. So here's a budgetary breakdown. In the northwest zone, there's approximately $1.5 million left to spend. The northeast zone has already been completed. The southwest zone, another 1.5 left to spend approximately, and then the southeast zone, where work has not begun, has a much larger number there. You'll notice that there was $150,000 pulled out of each of these zones for the viaduct, which is the Four Corners project, which we've talked about before, but we'll have a little bit of an overview here in just a second. So the remaining funds can be used for several different things, not just including the items on this list, but many more. But concrete street improvements, crack seal projects, which is a basically micro seal for your concrete streets, street painting projects, and more mill and overlay and micro seal projects as they come up, and many other things, various street projects. So some important information is the mill and overlay projects and the micro seal projects on the agenda tonight are not all we're going to do. So this is just a small portion of the, well, a sizable portion of the zone money that's been allocated to each zone, but there is more that we can do. The full amount of money allotted to each zone will be spent in its respective zone. However, each zone has different needs depending on the differing factors in the zone. So there's age of the street, the amount of traffic, the street type, and the amount of streets in the zone. So we'll talk about some improvements to the northeast zone. As far as concrete, we redid Kimberlea from Country Club to York Street, and that was done with internal city forces. And Haskell Boulevard is to be done soon, and there will be storm sewer improvements done in that area as well. Here's a complete list of the northeast zone micro seal, which has already been finished, and then the mill and overlay, which has already been finished. And here's some pictures from the streets in the northeast zone. And here is the overlay list of the northeast zone, which has been complete. We also striped several intersections in the northeast zone. And these are our anticipated improvements that will come up on the agenda in the northwest zone. Here's our list for micro seal, and these are hard to read on the screen, but that's what's in your packets that I passed around before the meeting. The micro seal was already approved by council late last year, and that will get started in May, around May. It's weather dependent. This is the mill and overlay. This is what is in your packet. I apologize. And here's the overlay only. And here is a map made by Public Works that has a legend up in the top corner. And this just shows you the volume of streets that we're doing in the northwest zone. Once again, the green has already been voted on, but if you'll pay attention to the red and the blue, that is what is on the agenda for tonight. The southwest zone, micro seal has not been approved, but is on the agenda for tonight. Same with the mill and overlay and the overlay. And here's a map of that. So all the streets are what are on the agenda for tonight. You'll see a pretty healthy volume of streets in this zone. The southeast zone is currently in development. And we also have the Four Corners project, which is lighting around the viaduct, which we've talked about several times. But Jeff is in the process of getting that buttoned up very soon. And a few things to remember, not all streets are the same and not all zones are the same. They have different needs, and some have more asphalt, some have more concrete, some are older, some are newer. And these projects are for residential areas primarily. Street department crews can fix any streets that do not make the project list. And there is always potential to do more than what is on this list depending on certain circumstances, and the council will definitely be brought into the fold when that is when those situations come up. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and this is a collaborative effort between me and Jeff and Mike, so whatever I can't answer, they definitely can.
Thank you, Mr. Rigney. Do we have any discussion?
So, on behalf of the mayor, who will be back in a little bit, he wanted me to make sure, you mentioned when we went out of those last two slots that there may be other streets. He wanted to make sure that there were not any that were missed because of, lack of funding.
We have built contingencies into the project so that if any are missed, they are able to be brought back into consideration.
So,
Yes.
if I may, just to be clear, when we set out this project in 2018, we knew that this $24 million is not going to get every street in the city. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to miss streets in every zone because we're trying to catch up on decades of being behind on maintenance. So I just want to be clear, we have an opportunity with additional funds to do more streets than are in our bid packet. But at the end of the day, we're not going to get every street in every zone, and we don't want to have anybody think that. We've got a lot of years that we're trying to catch up with, and this has been a big adrenaline boost for us to catch up fast. And I'm really proud of what we're doing. But there may be some streets that need done that we just don't get done because we don't have, we can't catch up for decades of getting behind in 6 years.
And Deputy Mayor, in the first part of every slide, he did outline the 310 center lane miles of road that we have, and we're trying to accomplish 100 miles of that. So we're trying to get 1/3 of our streets, which 275 is what he gave you the number for residential. So we're going to get about 1/3 of the residential streets. And we do have a plan, if there's streets that are missed, how we can get back to get them. And as Avery had on his slideshow, we'll make sure any of that comes to council.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure, with costs of products
yes.
going up, that we didn't drop any of them off the list.
Yes, we're paying attention.
Yes. And so everything that was on the bid packet that was put out by the street committee is being recommended for approval to be bid out and award the bid. So we haven't lost any off that proposed list, if that's the question. My apologies.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Deputy Mayor? What is the life expectancy on the overlay and then the mill and overlay? How long, what are we going to get out of that?
So it depends on a lot of factors like drainage around the street, traffic, and the condition of the subbase. So for me to give you an accurate answer, I don't think I could give you one. It definitely gives you a lot more life out of the street, and it's a worthwhile investment for the city to do so, in my opinion. I don't know that I could give you a number just because of the conditions of streets vary so much. But we try to take that into account and not try to fix streets that are unfixable per se. But I think Mike can probably give a little bit more in-depth answer.
So one of the things that we want to do when we finish this project is go back and reevaluate the streets and get another PCI index rating on them. And the mill and overlays will basically get you a 10-year more life before they're recommending that you do work to it. Some of these streets that are out there have been down for 50 and 60 years, so the life expectancy of a street is long, but it will be a required time when they're wanting us to do maintenance again, and that's about 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the thickness of the streets now will all be kind of in the same?
Yes, if it's milled and overlaid, we want to put it back in kind.
Okay.
Thank you.
And one more question. I'm sorry,
No,
Stephanie.
you're fine.
I noticed that we have these simultaneously with the Northwest and the Southwest. When the projects are being done, are we doing both projects at the same time? Or are we doing the Northwest zone and then the Southwest zone?
I can almost guarantee you, ma'am, they'll all be running at the same time.
So, okay.
Everybody's going to be wanting to, all these projects are temperature dependent. So in other words, the products they're putting down are dependent on a 50-degree range, 24 hours a day. You'll hit that somewhere in March.
Okay. The reason why I was asking, because it's been brought to us on many occasions, like when we started out there in the southeast, our first project, we dedicated to the southeast. And now we get over here to the west, and we have citizens that really want to know, why are we separating? Why aren't we doing the northwest and then doing the southwest? And if you can explain that a little bit, because it seems like...
Yeah, if I may, we did it to speed things up. We could have done the northwest. The northwest is the next zone. We could have done that, waited till it was all done, and started southwest. We prefer to speed it up and do it both because that way it gets done faster. That's the real point. Is we didn't want to wait. We didn't want to do this and then next year do southwest. We've got the money. We know the streets need work. Let's just go get it done.
And the way these contracts are going to work, they're going to stay in that northwest zone area, and we can actually tell them to start in that zone. And they'll stay in there and get it done, and then they'll move over to the southwest. You won't have them trying to move all that machinery, trucks and equipment.
Okay, that's where I'm going, Mike,
So
because we want to give just as much attention to the northwest or the west side of town as we've given it to the east. That's very important. The mayor's stressing this, and so I'm going to just reiterate it like he asked me to do, that we really give the northwest the attention that it needs.
So that was the next zone that was going to be up, as
Right.
Mr. Miller stated. So we'll make sure they start over there.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Do we have a motion?
Second.
do have a bid for this project.
Yeah, so if you all want to award the bid in the amount of $460,000 to Vance Brothers, it was approved by the street committee, it was approved by purchasing committee, and it has been evaluated as a fair price. So if you do want to make that motion, that would be an appropriate motion at that time. If you have questions, Jeff can answer those.
Yes, and before we make that bid, just want to make sure that each ward will get the full amount of monies that we spend in each ward. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And Mr. Rigney did have a slide on that, and we'll keep track of it by zone so that is made sure of.
Thank you.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Pearline Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 8 passes. Item number 9, please.
Consider approval for Mill and Overlay Southwest Zone 2023 bid to APAC Central Incorporated in the amount of $3,869,701.28, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Rigney.
So if you Madam Chair, if you don't mind, we won't have him do that again.
Okay. I didn't think so,
I mean, he would
but
run through the slideshow again, and he'd do a really good job. But we get to the same point, which is this is a bid that matches all the criteria. It has been researched. It has been approved by street committee. It has been approved by the purchasing committee just prior to this. It has been researched and is fair to market value, and we do recommend approval. And Mr. Reeves and the team could answer any questions.
Okay. Any discussion, or do I have a move for?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Pearline Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 9 passes. Item number 10, please.
Consider approval for Mill and Overlay Northwest Zone 2023 bid to APAC Central Incorporated in the amount of $2,705,615.96, or take other necessary action.
Basically the same
So
stuff.
third verse, same as the first.
Well, now this is the Northwest Zone, so I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now when we get down, how much money did you say we spent that we approved already for the overlay in the Northwest Zone?
The micro seal, that's the one that's already been approved.
Yes, sir. How much was that number?
I don't have that in front of me.
I can get to it if we just take 1 second. Approximately 1.6 million.
So on this, you're saying we got 1.57, 1.5 and something for the remaining, and are we saying that it's going to be in the concrete, the striping, and possibly traffic improvements? Is that what we're saying?
It could be, or it could be in more mill and overlay. It could be in any street improvement left in the Northwest Zone.
Okay. Thank you. Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Pearline Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 10 passes. Item number 11, please.
Consider approval of changes made to Council Policy 10-3, Honorary Street Name Sign Policy, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Rigney.
So the honorary street name sign policy has, our policy didn't really match our practices, so we wanted to update our policy to be accurate of what was actually happening when someone is getting an honorary street sign. And a few of those changes, they're in your packets, but the main focus there is the fees have been getting consistently waived, so we just did away with the fees. And we changed the committee members to be more accurate of the personnel that's in Public Works now, and staff does recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Pearline Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
No.
Item number 11 passes. Item number 12, please.
Consider approval to purchase one 144-inch X-Mark mower in the amount of $66,794 through Omnia Partners Contract Entity from Marvin Mowers for the use in the Environmental Control Division, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Vigney?
Yes. So this item was brought to you in August for an amount less than the $66,000. There was some supply chain issues with Exmark, and in the waiting period, they increased their price $3,000 to get to the number that you see today. It is a budgeted item, and we have the funds to do that with the same budget, and this was approved in the purchasing committee previous to this meeting, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion or a motion to approve?
Move for approval? I second it.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 13, or item number 12 passes. Item number 13, please.
Consider approval of the appointment of Tony Cotton to the Board of Adjustment to serve a 3-year term beginning March 1st, 2023, and ending on February 28, 2026, filling the expired term of Judith Hoffman, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Perline Boyd Craig.
Yes, this is my appointment, and I recommend Tony Cotton. She's a long-term member here in the community and has recently opened up a business, so I recommend her for approval.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Item number 13 passes. Item number 14, please.
Consider approval of the appointment of Linda Milton to the Wellness Initiative Coalition to fill the unexpired term of Perlin Boyotti Craig, beginning March 1, 2023, and ending on August 31, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Shirley Hilton Flannery.
This is my appointment. Linda Milton is a retired teacher of about 35, maybe 40 years. She taught gym. She was a coach. She taught all kinds of sports. Anyway, perfect person.
Move for approval. Taught me.
Yeah, she taught our council person over here.
Stop me too. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Perlin Boyotti Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hous. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Okay, we have 2 citizens wishing to speak. Whenever I call your name, you have 3 minutes. Just state your address and your name. Howard Hill. Oh, did he? Okay. Bruce Buffington. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. And my address is 621 Evelyn Street, Muskogee, Oklahoma. Can you all hear me? You have before you some information regarding the Eastern Oklahoma Development District and some of the opportunities that are available. We want to make sure that you talk to your individuals and remind them to telephone Eastern Oklahoma Development District at their phone number of 918-682-7891 if they want further information regarding some of the availability of funds that are now available. In addition to the other issues that you may be interested in when it comes to area of services for the aging, as well as caregiver services for individuals and outreach services, I want you to just take a look at some of the pamphlets of information, pass it out to your constituents. And further, I want to recommend that anyone speak very frequently of the opportunity to go to the Oklahoma City State Capitol on Senior Day. That's Senior Day at the Capitol, to hear your voices. It's going to be February 27th. There's no cost. You can go online to register at the Oklahoma Alliance on Aging.org. You could also call Eastern Oklahoma Development District at their location. Their physical location is 1012 North 38th. If you fill the time, you can go and visit. But the phone number is 918-682-7891. Appreciate your time and look forward to some of the questions that you may have to them.
Thank you, Ruth. Howard Hill, please come to the microphone and state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Howard Hill, live at 3724 Sheffield Avenue. Ruth there had asked me to speak on encouraging people to vote. 2 things I advocate for is voting and military. I think all young people ought to go in the military. They both serve lifetime benefits. And voting, it really, if you don't vote, you don't necessarily have control. I've been working elections about 10 years, and the people who work elections aren't working it for the money, I can tell you that. You know, like clerks and judges get about $100, and it's about a 14-hour day. So they're doing it as a service to the community and to the people who come in. But anyway, I don't know what I can tell you other than, you know, they're important. Be there, do it. And there's nothing more boring than working an election for 12 hours and never have anyone show up. And I've done that twice. So anyway, if you have anything you want to ask me, I'll try to answer. But other than that, that's it.
The upcoming date of election is?
Oh, well, they're having one tomorrow and one March 7th. I think, is the marijuana on March 7th?
March 7th.
The marijuana question is on March 7th. So, anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. This concludes our Public Works meeting for tonight.
Going to call to order the special call meeting for the Muskogee City Council for February the 13th, 2023. Item number 1, please. No, I'm sorry, roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Alex Reynolds.
Here.
Stephanie Jones.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Here.
Item number 1, please.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local Number 2465, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the employment and evaluate the performance of City Manager Mike Miller, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. C, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the employment and evaluate the performance of City Attorney Katrina Bodenhammer, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. D, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the employment and evaluate the performance of City Clerk Tammy L. Tracy, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
We have a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Roll call, please.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
We will now consider ourselves in executive session. Those who are not in our session, will you please excuse us at this time?
We will now reconvene from executive session. Roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Alex Reynolds.
Here.
Stephanie Jones.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Bodenhammer?
Thank you. Pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, council did convene in executive session to discuss negotiations with American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local Number 2465, and staff was authorized to take the appropriate actions as discussed in executive session, with the mayor being authorized to negotiate and approve a contract.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on item A. Roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. On item 1B.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You good?
Perlin Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes. Ms. Bodenhammer.
Thank you, Mayor. On Section 1B, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session to discuss the employment and evaluate the performance of City Manager Mike Miller, and no action was taken.
Move for approval.
C.
Oh, no.
You need that.
Yeah. Item C.
Item 1C, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session to discuss the employment and evaluate the performance of City Attorney Katrina Bodenhamer, and no action was taken.
D.
Pursuant to, item 1D, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session to discuss the employment and evaluate the performance of City Clerk Tammy Tracy, and staff was authorized to take the appropriate actions as discussed.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on item D. Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes. Thank you very much. That meeting is adjourned. We will now call to order the special call meeting for the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority for February 13th, 2023. Roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Alex Reynolds. Stephanie Jones.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos. Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Here.
Thank you. Item number 1.
Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the status of case number CJ-2023-32, Davis v. City of Muskogee, an associated EEOC claim, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos. Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, we will now convene into executive session. All those not party to the meeting may be excused at this time. Thank you. We will now reconvene from executive session. Roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Alex Reynolds.
Here.
Stephanie Jones.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos.
Here.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Here.
Ms. Bodenhammer.
Yes, sir. So pursuant to item number 1, pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, council did convene an executive session, or the board did convene an executive session to discuss the status of case number CJ 2023-32, Davis v. City of Muskogee et al., and the associated EEOC claim. Staff was authorized in executive session to proceed with the actions as discussed and attend mediation on the EEOC claim. And a proper motion would be to elect Stephanie Jones to serve as the council body for mediation.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on that item. Roll call.
Pearlie Boyati Craig.
Yes.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Jones.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to thank Deputy Mayor Mead and the council for their patience on tonight. We have much to have done, which was accomplished. Thank you. We are adjourned.